My name is Stuart Buyers. I'm the expansion lead for Zilingo. Zilingo is a technology platform for the fashion supply chain. We provide software, financial services, and sustainable sourcing solutions for brands, merchants, and factories.
I'm Juliet. I'm one of the account managers here at Edited. Edited is a retail decision-making platform that helps buyers and merchandisers optimize their decisions. So as we've just released the report on sustainable fashion, really would love to hear your thoughts, how you think that this is going to empower individuals and businesses to kind of make this change.
Absolutely. So I think sustainability is nothing new. And actually research has shown that 59% of consumers now expect products such as fashion to be made more sustainably or more environmentally friendly. And at the same time, 66% of consumers are willing to spend more on goods that are made more sustainably. So sustainability is not a new topic for brands, and it's been high on the agenda for a while. It may mean that it's going to cost them more in the beginning, but over time I think this will protect brands from supply chain shocks and reputational risks, which will create more resilient brands and more profitable brands in the future. So in your opinion, what are actually some of the key themes or drivers in sustainability at the moment?
From my perspective, I've seen kind of two key themes arise. First of all being that principle behind the circular economics, and that's really kind of focus on the brand and business aspect. And then secondly, looking more towards the individual and the rise of the conscious consumer.
Right.
So in terms of the circular economics, this is all about recycling and taking, rather than putting waste into landfill, it's reusing this waste and we're putting it back in and creating value. So a lot of brands have made some promises and made some really great strides. I don't know if you've heard of H&M's statement back in 2017, and they said they're going to become 100% circular by 2030. So with so many definitions around sustainability and so much noise around it, how do you see brands kind of tackling this change?
Yeah, so actually part of the challenge is defining sustainability. There are a lot of different definitions and there's a lot of buzzes around what sustainability is. I think brands need to look at three different areas. And the first one is design, and then environment, and the third one is social. So for design, brands really need to ask themselves, is what I'm producing truly sustainable? Am I producing it in the most efficient process possible? And then from an environmental point of view, what fabrics am I using? Are the fabrics sustainable or circular? What about my water consumption, the energy usage? Am I producing too much waste? These are all very important questions. So the third one is arguably the most important, social sustainability. It means the business or the brand needs to identify, are my workers being paid a fair wage? Are there equal opportunities for everyone that works with me? And that includes partners of the brand as well, so the factories and their suppliers.
Yeah, I think that's such a large topic that often sometimes gets overlooked. When people think about sustainability, it's often just focused on the environment.
We're definitely in a privileged position. I think it's easy for us to sit here and say all the garments online or the garments that you see in the store should be with sustainable fabrics, but that only matters if the people producing them have a fair and equal environment and ability to live in nice circumstances as well.
We'd love to hear your thoughts kind of like on the sustainable factories that you work with and why you think they're sustainable.
So I think factories are really scrutinised by the fashion industries. You know, there's been bad examples in the press, but actually there's some brilliant factories out there. And what people often forget is that factory owners are community leaders in their particular village or town. They employ hundreds, if not thousands of people. And they want to give back more to the community. They want to pay their workers more. They want to give them a career that they can be proud of and that supports families. And there's a lot of factories in Asia that actually fit the bracket of sustainable factories, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
I think really change is never easy, but at the same time brands need to learn to self-disrupt. What's worked for them in the past will not work for them in the future. And really one of the easiest ways to self-disrupt, I think, is with efficiency. And just to give some context on the global fashion industry is we actually produce 150 billion garments per year. But 30% of that is never even sold, so 30% is wasted. It's ridiculous. And 50% of what is sold is disposed of within a year. So there's an obvious need to be more efficient within the fashion industry. And efficiency is really brought today across various sectors by software. So I know Edited, for example, have a very powerful platform that help brands.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so what we do is we provide competitive information to our customers, and they can kind of make sure that they are making the correct decision when it comes to product, price, speed to market, and so on. And to your point, like that cuts back on that initial 30% of waste.
Yeah.
So that concept of efficiency not only drives the bottom line, which is ideal for every retailer, but it also takes out waste from the environment.
Yeah.
But in your experience, kind of how have you seen Zilingo help with that problem as well?
Yeah, so I think Edited's platform is great in basically informing the brands on, do I actually need to go ahead and produce this good in the first place? The next step is actually how do I improve my efficiency on the floor in the factory or in my production processes as a whole. And Zilingo is working with QC software in particular, which digitizes a very manual part of the production process at the moment. So it allows brands and factories to basically move from pen and paper to iPad and TV screen. And what this does is it allows brands to detect defects much earlier on in the production process, and it improves efficiency as now you have all these data points that you can realize patterns and have insights that you didn't have before.
I think data, just providing that transparency and having that data at your fingertips, it just allows you to make better decisions.
And there's so many opportunities like this along the supply chain. You know, you have the edited platform, which is very much focused on buying and trends, and then you have QC software, which is sort of end of the line. But there are so many opportunities in the supply chain, I think, at the moment for the processes to be made more online, because at the moment it's entirely offline. So we've talked about waste a lot. How are some of your customers dealing with recycling?
Yeah, I think recycling is a big hot topic. You know, when you typically think about recycling, it's a lot about taking unwanted products and putting it back in the supply chain, creating that value and repurposing that fabric, which is a really good start. If you think about kind of recycling in a more innovative way, we've seen a lot of our customers go towards different fabrications and fibres that actually take post-consumer waste. So for example, plastic bottles, fishing nets, and taking those and repurposing it with like nylon or other fibres, for example, and completely creating this new fibre. So one of the examples is Reprieve, which we've seen a lot of our customers kind of implement that into their supply chain. So using Edited, we can actually track the growth on recycled products or these recycled materials just by using keywords. So that's been really interesting to track that trend over time.
How have you seen that develop in recent years?
Yeah, I think there's crazy statistics over the last 2 years within the UK and the US. The number of recycled products has grown by 170%.
Wow.
So it's a massive trend, and I think, you know, brands are thinking and are aware that this is so important. And to be honest, recycling is one of the easier things. Yeah. And I think the development of that material science is still a little bit way off, but the more we can do and the more we can understand material science from a manufacturing perspective and kind of creating those strategic partnerships with the brands, then this can only develop further and actually become cost effective and scalable in the future.
Completely agree.
I mean, we looked at recycling, but what do you think are the kind of biggest challenges outside of recycling and that initiative into making brands kind of tackle that sustainable sourcing?
So I think brands are very quickly to point to price as being the biggest challenge to move towards sustainability. Brands need to actually take the first step towards sustainability, and actions speak louder than words. The biggest challenge for me is rather the brands, the businesses in the fashion industry do not have connections to sustainable suppliers or to suppliers that work in a more environmentally friendly way. This is particularly a problem for smaller brands.
And why do you think kind of it's a problem for smaller brands in particular?
So small brands are less likely to have connections to the manufacturing hubs like in Asia, so Bangladesh, India and China. Bigger brands are more likely to have offices here and be able to monitor the production. But I actually think inherently the supply chain is broken for everyone, small brands, medium-sized brands, and the large ones as well. Yeah. The problem with the fashion industry at the moment is that B2C is very sexy. You have, as a consumer, an overwhelming choice of options to go to. You can go to the high street, you can go online, and you can find something that fits you and something that you find stylish and that you like. And even if you go online, you're probably going to be faced with algorithms and recommendation engines that say, this product is best suited for you. And if you don't like this, here are 5 other products that other people like that you will probably like. Now, as a brand, there's no such experience available for them. In the B2B side of the fashion supply chain, it's all offline. And the supply chain is marred by inefficiencies and middlemen. When you add margin across all the different stages in the supply chain, this increases the overall cost price of the good. And if we can use technology to make this more efficient, to remove middlemen, we can reduce the cost price of the goods and return value to these people that are actually making the supply chain valuable in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the supply chain needs to get leaner, more efficient.
Exactly.
It definitely sounds like a good way to go.
But I think overall the fashion industry is starting to look at this, and there will be no golden ticket that makes us sustainable overnight. As long as it continues on the same process that it's going on in incremental steps, I think it will get there eventually.
I think with the educational piece, with the supply chain, and then having that someone taking responsibility within the organisation, again, that gives direction for change. I think from an individual point, from a business point, it's so hard to navigate that change management aspect, that having like a clear vision and a clear kind of direction from leadership is going to really help kind of pinpoint those areas and see how individuals can actually collectively make a difference.
Correct. It ties quite in with transparency as well. So brands need to have a sustainability agenda. It's one thing for them to say we're going to use more circular fabrics, but they actually need to go out and be completely transparent to their customers and say, we're not sustainable yet, we're working on it.
Yeah.
And you said basically empowering someone within the organization to put a hat on their head and say, I'm the sustainability officer.
Yeah.
This is all part of a sustainability agenda I think brands need to come up with and communicate it to their customers so that they know the problems aren't fixed already, but at least the brand that I'm purchasing these goods from are working on it.
Yeah, I agree. It's been so interesting kind of hearing your thoughts on sustainability as it's quite a different angle than one that I look at. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for your time.